Today on the news and why it matters, President Trump used the L word. We will give you the full scoop coming up. Don't change the channel. It starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Stu Bergier.
Please call me anonymous.
Oh, why?
I've just written a book that's going to be coming out. I'm an anonymous top Trump official, and it's an expose. Yeah, coming out soon. Just look for it.
Okay, great. Graham Allen, who just made fun of the way I say the word news.
News. The news and why it matters.
Sorry.
It's adorable.
That was a bless your heart. Bless her little heart.
You've never heard one.
There's nothing more demeaning than the word adorable. I love it.
And Eric July, YouTube host Eric July. Thanks for being here, guys. Got a lot to get into. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor has helped so many of us here at BlazeTV. Graham, being a former military, you know how hard it is on your joints. Your knees,
paying for
everything.
It daily now.
Yeah, I bet you are. Well, we got to get you some Relief Factor
because
we've heard so many good things from a lot of veterans who are trying Relief Factor for that very reason. It's working for them. It works for me. I had a car accident and herniated, protruding discs. Yeah, it's not fun. It's very painful. But Relief Factor targets the inflammation in your body, which oftentimes is the root cause of your pain. So if you are one of millions of Americans just constantly walking around all day, every day in pain, it doesn't have to be that way. Order the 3-week Quick Start Pack. It's $19.95, and 70% of the people who try that, they go on to keep ordering more. It's working for that many people. I mean, I'm not like a scientist or what you would call an expert, but I'm just saying 20 bucks is it's a small price to pay if the majority of people is working for. It could change your life. You got to go to relieffactor.com, or you can call 800-500-8384. That is relieffactor.com. So President Trump tweeted, and I feel like I can just end it there. I can just say President Trump tweeted, and then we can just talk about all of the outrage that's taken place today. But he is getting hit hard by the left today because he tweeted about his impeachment inquiry. He said, "So someday, if a Democrat becomes president and the Republicans win the House, even by a tiny margin, they can impeach the president without due process or fairness or any legal rights. All Republicans must remember what they are witnessing here, a lynching, but we will win." Immediately, there was backlash all over the place. He's got Congress people telling him that he needs to immediately apologize for his terrible remarks. They were very racially motivated. He was comparing, obviously, Stu, comparing the lynching of African-American people to him going through an impeachment inquiry.
Certainly not accepted shorthand, hundreds of years later, to talk about an unfair legal process and describe it as a lynching. Obviously, Clarence Thomas most famously probably did this, calling it a high-tech lynching back when in his hearing period. This is another example of the media who can find legitimate things about Donald Trump to be outraged about. There are some that are, but it's like every time the guy tweets, they have to act as if it's this cataclysmic horror show. It's so fake, right? Like we all know that when these guys go home at night, they're not actually outraged that he tweeted the word lynching. None of them are outraged. It's all fake. They're just hoping to garner up just a little bit more anger against the president. And look, I mean, you can like the guy's policies or not. You can like his performance or not. But this sort of stuff is it's just nonsense, right? We're all adults. We all know what he meant there. And you can disagree with his point, but to act as if you're that offended because, the history of this, it doesn't respect the history. It doesn't respect the actual victims who went through this. It's just you using it for political purposes.
It's just hypocritical to me. I mean, these are the same people that on a daily basis describe Trump as Hitler. Literally Hitler. And Trump supporters are Nazis or Klansmen or all this stuff.
He has concentration camps on the border.
Concentration camps on the border. He's literally Hitler. Which I think anybody here of sound mind will say, oh, that's the most horrible thing that you could say. And Saddam Hussein was a bad guy, but he wasn't Hitler. You know what I mean? Hitler's about as bad as you can get, of a thing. And so I don't know. You know, obviously, you know, even when I read it, I was like, you know, not the best, not the best of words.
You had to see that coming. You probably could have picked a different word.
Yeah, not the best of words. You know, Twitter does need an edit button, but at the same time, it's a tweet. It's a tweet. He was. I don't even think I didn't read it that way. Like when I first read it, I thought he gave the actual definition of what a lynching was. Like lynching was around far before, you know, slavery and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And so, yes, people naturally attribute both the same now. But I mean, you know, in the tweet, bad choice of words, I will say. But he did kind of say what he meant by it before he said the word. You know, an unlawful, without cause, without jury, you know, going after somebody. You know, and so I think people are more so asserting that into what he said than what he actually said. But
well, and even the worst definition that I could find, meaning it actually included death, was on Merriam-Webster, and it said to put to death, in parentheses, as by hanging, by mob action without legal approval or permission.
Wiccan should be pissed right now at this point. Salem witch trials. Are you kidding me?
Right. Well,
I mean, you know, we ought to be, man.
What is
and they're casting a spell on him today, I saw.
What are they?
Witches are planning to cast a binding spell on Trump this week.
Oh, my God.
Kind of thing. So, I don't know.
Eric.
We just got shut down by the witch community.
Eric, don't, okay, so Eric, don't let us white-splain this to you. You tell us why you are so oppressed by Trump's
as a person of color, don't use white-splain. That's not your word.
Don't let these toxic white men.
Exactly. No, but it's just like Stu said, it's these guys go out of their way to be offended at just about anything. And that's all they're trying to do. They're not offended. I think you put it perfectly in that these guys are gonna either get off their phone, step away from their laptops, their computers, and they're not going to be mad. Like that's the end of it. They send off a tweet and say, oh, he shouldn't have said this. I'm mad. And that's the end of it. Nobody's legitimately actually mad. It's just, unfortunately, with the rise of social media, I talk about this all the time, with the rise of social media, we have this oppression Olympics thing sort of going on, where everybody is trying to go out of their way to be offended because it almost acts as if it's currency. You get some sort of societal points by just being mad or being oppressed and going out of your way to be offended by a mere tweet by the president. And it just goes to show how much Donald Trump has these guys on a string, man. Like he can, like, no matter what he says, they control everything of their emotions. I wake up, I'm not worried about what Trump tweets or anything like that. I go on about my life. Only way I find out about this is because everybody's talking about it on my timeline and people are going out their way to act like they're mad. But the concept of lynching is not, nobody has a monopoly on that. It is an actual term, it is defined, and people have, even now, before this, more so this tweet, people used it in other terms that didn't imply anything racial. Some people did. I'm not saying that there aren't people that do that. And that's on you if you apply some sort of race, if you think they're sort of synonymous, or black oppression historically in America and lynching. You know what I mean? But the term does mean something, and people use this elsewhere. But for whatever reason, when President Trump says it, they are up in arms and they're mad. But it just goes to show that these guys just, it doesn't really matter. He could have used really any other term. They still find something to get mad at that tweet. It really didn't matter. It's just, that's a layup. It's easy. Oh, he's used a lynching word, and we've been for the longest time accusing him of all this racism. So now we can sort of apply, though it doesn't really apply because he's the one saying that we're the ones getting lynched, or I'm the one getting lynched. So it doesn't even really, if you extend it to the logical conclusion, even in, I guess, the way that they are suggesting that he uses it, it doesn't make sense if you're going to apply some sort of, I don't know, saying that he's being insensitive or something of that nature. But it's just complete nonsense. And unfortunately, this is what social media has led us to in terms of a culture, and that people are just going out of their way to be offended. And anytime, I mean, these guys follow this guy just so they can get mad at something. You can go look at his tweets right now. It's usually the same blue check mark leftists that are commenting on, they're waiting to get mad at something.
They must get notifications.
Absolutely.
They're always the first ones to go on
they
there.
turn on the bell.
It's the same exact names always under his tweets that are just going out of their way to be offended. And I'm like, dude, if this guy you have this, like for example, I don't personally follow Donald Trump. Only time I see it is if they put it on my timeline or something like that. But I don't follow people. I follow people from different like demographics, different political backgrounds. But if I know somebody is just gonna get under my skin, or I'm not gonna like what they say, I'm not going to follow them. I have my notifications set up to where, as soon as you say something, I'm going to act like I'm mad. He got these guys on the string, man.
Yeah.
It's a shift moment. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say it's a shift moment. People are going. The president basically said that what's happening to him is literal slavery. That's what the president basically said.
Right.
He basically said that kind of thing.
And if you're a blue check mark and you're in the media and you want to get your followers, like the first
easiest person
who says the snarkiest, judgiest thing gets all the follows and is the first tweet underneath, and they get lots of people added to their. I mean, there's an incentive thing going on, and I think this is a big problem with social media. It incentivizes that behavior. I mean, as far as the tweet itself, though, I think it is interesting to look at that. He's complaining about not getting due process. And, the Constitution basically lays out that the House gets to do whatever they want when it comes to impeachment, and the Senate gets to do whatever they want. I mean, it's really open-ended. Traditionally, though, the things he's talking about when it comes to legal rights, that comes in the Senate trial. Right. It's more focused there. I mean, the House process is, as he describes it. I mean, one party can just get control and impeach all the time. And it seems like we're going down that road. It's like, I look at this, the way the culture is right now, it's almost impossible for me to believe that every president that has an opposing house isn't just going to impeach the other side at this point. It just feels like that. And maybe it's excited because of how crazy everybody is about Trump in the media. Maybe that's just a feeling I'm getting, and maybe it reverses itself later on. But at this point, like, they don't even... There's no doubt in my mind they are going to impeach Donald Trump whether they find anything or not. Like, this is a foregone conclusion. They are going to do it, and they are going to go through and push it to the Senate no matter what. And it's just there's no longer even an attempt to fake as if they're going for truth, right? Like, they're going to find the facts that fit this outcome. And they're going to tell everybody that this was totally justified. You want to have it inform your vote, that makes sense to me. But if you want to have it to try to overturn an election when we're 1 year away from another one, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, let's think about for a second how many times they've used a certain different excuse for impeachment, right? Because first it was Russia. Before, practically when the Russian investigation had just started, they were already calling for impeachment with Russia. I'm pretty sure we heard about impeachment when all of the Stormy Daniels stuff came out.
Yeah, but both of the porn star, the other one too, the Playboy girl as well.
Yeah, the Biden Ukraine stuff. I'm sure I'm missing other ones that.
Well, I mean, I'll give you this one. Rashida Tlaib. On her election night, she said, "We're going there to impeach the mother effer." It's like, well, what was that one about? I don't know. He didn't even barely started.
We don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, the Women's March happened one day after his inauguration, where they were calling for his impeachment. I mean, it's never been about finding the thing that drives people over the edge, and that was what was compelling about Nixon's impeachment, right? Nixon won a landslide election. He was incredibly popular. What are you in 48? I think it was 48 states. It was not, it might have been 49. It was not competitive at all. He was incredibly popular at that point. And it was the American people seeing this activity with Watergate and saying, holy crap, this guy's not who we thought he was. And the people, in a bipartisan way, turned against him over time. When they saw the evidence, they heard the tapes, and they actually all came to the conclusion. And that, if you're going to overturn an election, it needs to be like that. The founders knew it needed to be serious.
But it's not going to be that because people don't, the people that voted for Trump, the people that love Trump or at least realize he's the better choice right now, they don't believe what they're seeing. Like no one believed. Everyone read the transcripts. Everyone saw Schiff do whatever he did, and no one believes it anymore. The Russian deal, 2.5 years, millions of dollars wasted. Nobody believes any of this stuff anymore. The only people that believe it are the people that hated Trump before it happened.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to have, and there's a lot of people that believe that Nixon could have, when it went to the Senate, they believe he would have won that. There's a lot of people that think that Nixon chose to, anyway. But all I'm saying is, I don't think that we're going to have this mass shift of opinion of Donald Trump over this because nobody believes it.
I think there's still going to be, and I didn't really even think of that, and I think we're seeing it almost with the rise of correlation, with the rise of social media, these sorts of efforts seem to become more prominent. Yes, we know what happened with Bill Clinton and such, but now they can garner that sort of support unlike they've ever been able to do. Or more so rally their own troops, not necessarily convincing the other side, but more so rallying their own troops to get behind these sorts of efforts. Now, I'm interested to see if this sort of trend would continue if, let's say, there's a change in, if we get a Democratic president, is the other side going to start to adopt those tactics? And I honestly, I could see that absolutely happening because again, even if not on principle, more so just out of payback. Like, look what you guys put us through. You're gonna have a base full of people that are mad, a lot of people that are gonna be were in office maybe during Donald Trump's presidency and had to listen to all of this. I think that you may start seeing that sort of trend. I'm going to be happy about it just because it may put the whole position, make it more illegitimate. I don't know, but we'll see. But I think that you're going to see that trend, if not impeachment, but just like, hey, you shouldn't be there. I don't have anything to stand on. It doesn't really matter what you did. You could have did something wrong, something right. It doesn't really matter. I just don't want you there. So I'm going to go out of my way to try to find something, even if you put it out there, even if it's nothing, just to rally my troops to get you up out of there.
Before we go, I just want to leave you with this little perfect representation of the left. Of course, I made the mistake of tweeting about the fact that, as Graham mentioned, that the term lynching really did not originate from what happened to, the African-American people. It originated during the American Revolutionary War, and they were lynching British loyalists. And so someone sent me an NAACP link to what the NAACP said about lynching, and I said, color me shocked that the NAACP wouldn't include the origin of the word, and sent them a link to it, and I did. I said, color me shocked. Oh, no. So the responder said, color me? Wow. Wow. Color you. Color you. Wow. Yeah. Okay, white guy. Okay, white guy. Back in a minute.
I'm on his side. I think
Are you?
I think you're a bad person.
But am I racist?
You gotta want to be your friend, Sarah. You really gotta do. You gotta want to be your friend.
Before we get back into the conversation, we want to thank our sponsor, NetSuite. So business owners, listen up. If you are, I know we got a lot of entrepreneurs out there, myself included. Graham, I know you are as well. Eric, I assume you are. You're a YouTube host. I don't know what you're doing.
I work for the government. So
oh, man.
But you guys know that if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And there are a lot of different platforms out there that you've got, your accounting over here under this software service. You've got your sales over here under this service, and you've got all these different platforms, and they're not talking together. And so you can't accurately understand how you're profiting, how much you're profiting, how many.
This might be the problem with the government. I think we just replace the IRS with NetSuite. And then we'll actually know what the heck's going on. Maybe we won't be in trillions of dollars in debt.
That's brilliant.
This would solve this in like a day.
Oh my gosh, we got to get them. We got to get them this free ebook that they're offering. So NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 business management software in the entire country. And it handles every single aspect of your business in an easy-to-use cloud platform that gives you the visibility and the control you need to grow. So you're going to save time, you're going to save money, you're going to save unnecessary headaches. All you got to do to learn more about it is you got to go to netsuite.com/y. Right now, they are offering you valuable insights with a free guide. It is called 7 Key Strategies to Grow Your Profits. Do you want to grow your profits? Do you want to be rich? I don't know. I do. So I'm going to netsuite.com/y. Get that free guide, 7 Key Strategies to Grow Your Profits. So yesterday, fired up for this one. A jury ruled against a Texas father attempting to stop his 7-year-old son from a gender transition being facilitated by the boy's mother, who is a pediatrician. Apparently, the boy's mother has now been granted authority to move forward with puberty blockers, which can cause chemical castration, and potentially she could use hormones if she so chooses. Additionally, the father will be forced to affirm his son's new gender identity, which is a girl named Luna. Here is what the father had to say.
He said, "Mommy tells me I'm a girl." And I would ask him, do you look like a girl? And he'd say, "No, but Mommy tells me I'm a girl." He's never presented himself as a girl to me ever. And in fact, with me, he violently rejects any female identity. He won't wear female clothes. He won't even wear boys' brief underwears because he says it's too much like girls' underwear. I consider this to be child abuse and the sexual mutilation of children on an industrial scale. So it makes me feel terrible. I can't believe that a mother would do this to her son. And I cannot believe that the state of Texas would allow it and sanction it. But we have clinics right here in Texas that do sex changes on children all the time.
I'm with him. Texas, of all places? Stu, is this terrifying?
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you know, it's such a weird story. I think we're supposed to be talking to the dad here the next couple of days on radio.
Really?
So that'll be an interesting, you know, to hear the whole case. This clip has been going around like crazy. You know, it's hard to imagine, you know, like there's a part of me that actually kind of believes the story the way he's telling it, which is the mom is telling, you know, him he's a girl, and so maybe he is acting like a girl in front of the mom, and then maybe he is acting like a boy in front of the dad because that's the way the dad is. But that shows you what an 8-year-old does, right? Like they are adapting, they're learning from their environment, they're hearing what their parents think, they're trying to follow their guidance, and all of this is relatively harmless until you start making life-changing physical decisions.
I'm sorry, Stu. I don't give a crap what this kid is saying to the mom. I don't care if he's a Powerpuff Girl with his mom and then he freaking wants to be Batman with his dad. He's a kid, and he's a boy. Shut up. No, parents should not have the authority or the power to dictate what gender they think their child is supposed to be. That's God's job. It's already been done. Shut up. You don't have the power, nothing to do. This kid is going to be jacked up and they're going to hate you for the rest of your life. Do you even really remember a whole lot of stuff when you were 8? I don't.
No.
I know I was pretty dumb because I was 8 years old. I jumped off a house with a Superman cape because I thought I could fly. These are the people that are going to decide what gender they are. Get out of here, man. The world is going to look at us like we are crazy people. Our future generations are going to be so ashamed of us that we're having conversations like this. The way we look back at previous generations now and go, what in the crap were you guys doing? That's what's going to happen now. Children should not dictate who they are. Mario Lopez, you had it exactly right. Parents have no right, no authority, no power, no discernment, no knowledge to make any kind of decision like this. It should not be allowed. Texas should be ashamed of itself. And for the first time, yay, Mississippi. Because you know what this is? I guarantee you this wouldn't have passed in Mississippi, buddy.
Eric,
Never.
Eric, is this what this mom's doing? Is this child abuse?
Well, I mean, I don't know what other way to say it. To me, this is funny because I just had this big showdown with a bunch of followers, right, about Megan Fox, if I'm not mistaken, when she was going around saying that she encourages her boy to wear dresses. I said that's like WTF is essentially what I said. And I got a lot of people that surprisingly, and this let me know how crazy the world had gotten because I wasn't expecting that, if I can be 100% honest, that there were going to be people that pushed back that much that were like, well, what's the problem? I'm like, okay. And then they would say, well, it's not like she's advocating a sex change or something like that. And then this story comes up really in our backyard. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I went to when I heard about this story, looking on the pages of some of the people that were going back and forth with me on my public Facebook, I'm like, I wonder if the guys that said at least that person isn't having, you know, giving their kid a sex change or something like that, at least they aren't doing that. Are they coming out and being like, this is wrong? And none of them had anything public to say about that. So I challenged those people who were like, well, that at least they're not doing that. We see a prime example of exactly that happen. You should be just as mad as the other guys, such as myself, that were going to be mad regardless. This is just lunacy, the fact that we got to this point.
All right, we're all going to calm down over here. We'll be right back.
I'm not calming down. I'm not calming down. I'm about to flip this table.
All right, I was lying. I'm not sure that we are calmed down yet. And we have overtime coming up next where Graham's got to dip out, but Eric might flip some tables.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. BlazeTV.com. Go there now.